Update: am I the butthole for donating my deceased daughter's college fund instead of giving it to my husband's daughter? Link to my last post. I've gotten messages asking for an update, so I'll give one. I left my husband. He told me I couldn't do what I wanted with the college fund. I took my name off the account, so my ex-husband was the only owner in the case that my soon-to-be ex-husband tried to claim that money in our divorce. My daughter's father and I went for a trip to my daughter's favorite town. We went to her favorite spot and spread her ashes. I've been staying with my sister and looking for apartments to move into. As far as the fund, we have discussed starting a scholarship or paying a student's tuition. We haven't decided exactly what to do. That's about it. Web link. I guess it's better to know how your soon-to-be ex is now rather than devote any more time to him, but it sucks it came to this. I wish you luck and strength with your future endeavors, and last but not least, sorry for the loss of your daughter. There's just such a gross vibe to the fact that a guy in his 50s feels entitled to the college fund of the deceased daughter of his much younger wife. A 25-year gap is effing crazy. I should just say that if you're in a relationship like that and you're happy, more power to you. My opinion shouldn't matter to you. Honestly, the gap isn't even that crazy. It's the fact he was fine being involved with someone the same age as his own daughter. That's multiple levels of gross. This is an odd tangent, but I hope someone can find value in it. My mom and dad are around a 25-year age gap. Had me around 30 and my dad was around 53. I'm coming up on late 20s myself. She got into this Zumba craze a couple years ago, and I overheard her telling someone else about a conversation she had when talking some of the younger women in there. They got on the topic of older men. She basically was saying that things are all good when you're 25 and they are 45-ish. Mature, established man and all that. They still look good and there really isn't too much difference between y'all. But that gap hits different when you are coming up on your late 30s and your partner is moving into the sunset of their life. They are winding down. They are trying to chill. The body and libido is declining. When you are in your 40s with someone that is coming up on 70, it's a whole different game. You are hitting your stride. You want to go and travel and go here and there, and you have to be considerate of whether your partner can really even get around like that. Of course, it's not like they can't walk, but you aren't doing no hiking. You aren't doing no snorkeling. Not to mention everyday interests and desires start to further divide. Situation is more complicated than I care to explain, but now my mom is mid-50s and my dad is in a nursing home. To be coldly realistic, my dad will not be here for my mom's senior years. Just stuff to consider. My parents are 10 years apart, still a large gap, but less than your folks, and there are plenty of age-related differences they're trying to deal with now, too. My dad is almost 70 and has basically already become an old man. He wants to stop working and retire. Can't do that when you married a new wife, bought a house with her and still have a mortgage to pay. He goes to bed at effing 7 p.m. And he keeps talking about moving to Florida, my poor mother. Meanwhile, my mom is still working, still active, and doesn't want to leave where she lives because all of her friends and family are still there. I also worry about what will happen when my mom is eventually alone. My dad is 63 and has a 9-year-old with my 48-year-old stepmother. It's so tough on him trying to find the energy to parent a young child when he could be thinking about retirement in the near future. One of my friends is 25 and recently married a 40-year-old, so it's the same age gap, and I'm a bit worried for her when they get even older. They have 2 kids together, so it's obviously a long-term relationship. When I told her about the 8-year age gap with my ex, she was like, why would he want to be with someone so much younger than him? I'm happy for her as long as she's happy though, don't get me wrong. We see this with my father-in-law's parents. They are both elderly now, but Grandma is only 80 while Grandpa turned 95. Recently. Until Grandpa went into a care home, she didn't do very much despite having the money because of his dementia and him just not being physically capable of things she was able to do. There is an 8-year age gap between my grandparents. Currently my nan is 73 and my granddad is 81. She constantly complains about him not doing enough and how they can no longer go on holidays or even on days out. I tell her that he's a lot older than her and he's not going to be as active, but she gives the excuse of, well, I'm getting old too, and yes, that's true, but she's not at the same place in her life as he is. Honestly, He's done effing well to be 81 years old, fully lucid, and still has the ability to look after his own basic needs. Especially since he has epilepsy and has been on a crap load of medication most of his life. He's not able to get about like he used to, but my nan needs to realize how lucky she is that things aren't much worse. That's why it's effing weird. Whether or not he had a daughter, he is married to some of an entire different generation, and is young enough to be his daughter. In my world, that's effed up. Is it weird that I imagine the now soon-to-be ex-husband and wicked stepdaughter as Mr. Salt and Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Someone hit the button and send them down the bad egg chute, oof da. Hijacking to say that I am so deeply sorry for all the loss you have experienced in such a short period of time, Op. However, I hope that some time from now, you can look back and be thankful that you escaped your pathetic excuse for a husband and stepdaughter, when you did. You seem to be incredibly strong, and I have no doubt you will flourish as you move to the next stages in your life. I wish you nothing but the best. I think a scholarship or tuition support is a beautiful way to honor your daughter. I'm so sorry your soon-to-be ex decided to be absolutely hideous about this. In a way, it's a blessing she's seen his true colors before wasting any more of her life with him. I also think supporting another child with college tuition would be fantastic. I'm not sure of how the foster system works in America, but maybe a child is aging out of it soon and hoping to go to college and would benefit from the funding? Or maybe a family friend's child or another young relative? It reminds me of a story I heard long ago, about a young woman whose mother had died. Years later, she realized how abusive her boyfriend was, and had to sell the diamond ring her deceased mother had given her, in order to scrounge up enough money to leave the abusive boyfriend. She felt like she betrayed her mother in selling the ring. But as someone pointed out, her mother would be so glad that she sold the ring because it meant so much more than a bit of jewelry. It meant she could be there to support her daughter one last time from the grave. All of this is to say that the same seems to have happened with Op. Through the college fund, the daughter has managed to do one last great act in showing Original Post what kind of man she's with. I'm sure the daughter would be proud how Original Post has handled it. That's a sweet way to think of it. I'm sure Op's daughter would be so happy to know she's helped put her mother on a new and better path in life. I hadn't ever heard of this story, but I do like the idea that the mother would be fine with it as the ring was her final bit of help to her daughter. Thanks for sharing. What is this water coming from my eyes? I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh, I'm definitely crying. Look into the sort of scholarships that are currently available? Just to see what your options are? I know that there are an increasing number of scholarships that are intended to encourage women to pursue degrees in STEM programs. I believe even Cards Against Humanity is offering a 4-year full ride. Only mentioning this because you said your daughter was strongly invested in the environment. Kids who have left foster care can get free tuition but also struggle with a lack of support system. I'm not sure if there's a charity to help them. Unfortunately, the lack of support is often a lack of a social support system, which is difficult for a charity to address. For example, a young adult might have tuition and room and board covered, but have nowhere to go when school closes down for Thanksgiving, spring break, or Christmas, when a student would typically return home or visit family. Some schools may allow students to remain on campus, but that isn't universal, especially at smaller schools. Roommates and friends might be their only alternative to getting a hotel room, which they may not be able to afford, and that can put them in an incredibly uncomfortable and unsafe position. Now I am wishing there was a way to connect those aged-out foster kids in school with people like me who live alone and don't ever have plans for the holidays. As far as I'm concerned, there will never be enough assistance for foster kids. I'm raising one of the lucky ones. So many of them can fit all of their worldly possessions in a black garbage bag. I know Original Post will do great things with the money, but I truly hope they use it to help some foster kids. Agreed. In the right hands, the fund could be invested and become a yearly scholarship somewhere. Original Post mentioned her daughter was passionate about the environment, perhaps a scholarship for a student who has demonstrated commitment to environmentalism. It was covered in the prior thread, but this is called an endowed scholarship. At the college where I work, it takes $25,000 to endow a scholarship, or you can start with an initial payment of $5,000, $15,000 or $20,000 and then add to it with additional donations later. The funds will not be dispersed to students until you have a total of $25K. It is invested and the interest is given as a scholarship yearly. Other schools may have different guidelines, but I think a similar plan is pretty common. You could set it up for an environmental student, a student from your hometown or high school, a young woman studying environmental science, whatever you think would best honor your daughter. I am so sorry for your loss, but I think it's wonderful that you're considering a scholarship to honor her. It's a way to have her name remembered by grateful students for a long, long time. I agree, a scholarship in her name would be a wonderful way to pass it on. My condolences and best wishes to you. He really was hideous, shockingly hideous. Throw your marriage away for $13,000 that doesn't even belong to you. Effing wow. How does someone get so entitled as to blow up his new marriage over an account that he didn't create or contribute to in any way? I can't even rationalize his line of thought. He clearly passed the entitlement on to his daughter. He paid her debts and she thinks she deserves this. I wonder how he grew up, probably coddled and similarly spoiled. Good riddance to both of them. The crap apple doesn't fall far from the crap tree, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure he was counting on her not having the spine to say no to him and stick to her guns. It probably never occurred to him that it would cost him his marriage, until it was too late. He was twice her age and it shouldn't have been up for discussion. Maybe a scholarship for someone pursuing something environmental hits both notes for her daughter. There is an annual scholarship at our high school honoring a student that passed. It is so sad yet so honorable every year when the parents present the award. I think this is an amazing idea. Maybe an art scholarship? I'm so sorry to hear that after losing your daughter so tragically, that your marriage has ended as well. But probably for the best if he was unable to support you on this. I hope the rest of 2020 brings you better fortune. People who realize they don't actually want to be doctors several years into med school, or early in their career, are just straight up screwed. If you can keep at it, doctors do eventually make enough to pay off those sorts of loans, but there are years of residencies etc. at the start of their career where they don't make enough. Luckily medical degrees are flexible though. You got branch off into research, public health, administrative work, and a bunch of other random stuff. I worked at a massive research hospital for a while and was really amazed at the career path that some people took when they figured out the whole doctor thing wasn't their cup of tea. I mean, obviously you'll have to be a bit creative with how you market your skills, but it really provides a lot more options than just seeing patients. But I guess if you realize you aren't into the whole doctor thing halfway through med school, that's a bitch. But I guess if you just keep in mind there are other career paths that'll open up once you're finished, it might make the last few years of med school bearable-ish. There are some other ways to switch into a research path in the middle of medical school that I've heard of as well, and I guess they allow you to just skip the residency but still get some type of medical degree. I don't know enough about that to say how exactly that would work though. But yeah, if you figure out you hate your career path after finishing a PhD, then crap gets really scary. Edit. I just read this over and realized I said I guess like 5 times. So I guess I'm just guessing here. Well said. It was her daughter's last gift to her to show her what kind of man he was. Yes, this. It's really all that needs to be said. I wish you the best. Code, sorry, that your marriage has ended as well. /code, I'm not. It seems he who cannot parent is also he who threatened to punch his wife if she donated the money. Source, looked at her post history. What the actual F? Just the sense of entitlement that he has over money that wasn't his is just. I can't put it in decent words. Can lock up here, mods. This comment is concisely and appropriately articulating what we all feel for Op. This is beautiful. My heart breaks for original post and I hope she surrounds herself with healthy, loving people who can support her as she figures out her next step. That is such an incredible way of looking at things. I am so sorry for your loss. You are doing so well in honoring your daughter's memory. Your strength is amazing. From what you've written, it sounds like you did the best thing for everyone. I wish you the best going forward. I'm sorry you've had to deal with their selfishness on top of coping with your loss. I think you made the right decision and will be happier without them in your life. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.